We want a president that understands, like I did in Georgia when I came here, I didn't have anything, but I had a dream. So I worked, and against all odds, I worked my way to where I am now. It was here in Georgia. See, in Georgia, you know what we do? We don't sit around and complaining. We go to work. It was here where I became a studio owner. My first studio was on Broad Street. Now that is Broad Street Market. And then I bought another studio, which was on Greenbrier, right near Greenbrier Mall on Continental Poly Parkway. And it was there that Barack Obama came in 2012 to do a fundraiser. And he was getting ready to leave, and he said, come ride with me. We're going to my house for a fundraiser. I said, wait, you want me to ride with you in the Beast? So I get in the car, and traffic is stopped, and we're riding, and he's talking to me. And for those of you who are old enough to remember Charlie Brown, all I heard was wah, 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 wah. I finally said, I'm sorry, Mr. President, but I haven't heard a word you said. Because I'm in awe of this country. What a great country that you could become president of the United States. And he turned to me quick as a flash and he said, yes, but what a great country that you could become Tyler Perry. From that moment, I went and I bought a bigger studio. I bought Fort McPherson Army Base. Right now, where we hire thousands of people are coming through that doors. And I don't care what was stacked up against me. I don't care. I didn't pay attention to that. What I paid attention to was how do I help somebody? But I broke through that door, laid it down on its side, and let it become a ramp so that somebody else can get higher too. You want to hear something about an American dream? Fort McPherson was once a Confederate Army base, where there were Confederate soldiers trying to plot and plan on how to keep 3.9 million Negroes enslaved. Now that land is owned by me. Let's talk about an American dream.
New Lego Star Wars sets. Save the galaxy. No? Choose the light side? Choose the dark side? Sets sold separately. Smart devices and set pricing not included.
The seniors working so hard, seniors working hard. And what I realized when I bought it, that seniors around, their taxes were going through the roof. So what I did was, I said, no, you're not going to come here and take these seniors' houses. I paid everybody's taxes up for years so that they can keep their houses. When an 85-year-old woman in Coweta County lost her house to a fire and wanted a place for all her grandkids, I rebuilt that house for her. Most recently, I saw in AJC a story where there was a woman who hired this contractor and he gutted her house and left her there with nothing. She was living in a house with no plumbing and no walls for years. I rebuilt that house for her. Why am I telling you this? I'm not telling you this to be bragging. What I'm telling you about is, what I want you to understand is I have compassion for our seniors. So when a candidate said that we have lowered the cost of insulin to $35 for seniors, that candidate has my vote. I put many kids through college, and recently there was a family, a woman who was murdered by her husband, and she had 3 kids that were of college age. I put all those kids through college. So when I hear a candidate say, we are going to do what we can to reduce student loan debt, that is a candidate that I could stand with. I stand with a candidate who has an American dream for everyone. She stands with us. And she has an American dream for our children. Let me tell you something about the children. I don't know if you remember, but her DNC speech was great, right? But there's a moment that you may have missed. When the cameras were rolling, she was walking around and the balloons are falling and confetti's falling. I'm watching her smile and wave. Her family comes out. But there are 2 little girls on the stage. And I see her constantly making sure they're okay, not getting too close to the edge. That's what you want. See, the little things will tell you about the heart of a person. In that speech, she talked about how We have more in common than what separates us. So, Georgia, I want to put that to the test. I didn't have a father who gave me millions of dollars to start a business. Did you? Didn't think so. My mother didn't have some great legacy, but she taught me how to pray my way through a situation. It sounds like we have that in common. I'm the kind of American that believes in a secure border, but at the same time believes that if anyone is coming seeking legal asylum, our arms should be open to them. I'm the kind of American that believes that if you are running for office, you shouldn't speak and take a bipartisan bill to help the border so that you can use it for your own glory. If you are like me, I work my ass off to find my first house and build my business and take care of my family. That is the American dream. I believe if you work that hard and you put into Social Security, when you get to a certain age, that you put in should be there waiting for you because it's yours. I believe that we all should have affordable health care and it not be replaced with the concept of a plan. What the hell? I'm the kind of American that believes no matter what your party, we ought to be able to sit down and have civil conversation so that we can work toward a solution the same as I do with our governor, Brian Kemp.
I did not try to shoot that. That's crazy.
I'm the kind of man that believes, I'm the kind of man that believes that the government nor a man should be telling the woman what she can and cannot do with her body. I'm the kind of American who believes that poll workers should do their civic duty without being harassed and threatened like Ruby Freeman and Shane Moss in Fulton County. And I am not the kind of American that glories in, enjoys, laughs at, or celebrates an 80-year-old man being hit with a hammer because his wife is in politics and you don't agree with her. And two things can be true at once. I am not the kind of man that glories in, celebrates, enjoys, or laughs at a 78-year-old former president almost meeting his death at an assassin's bullet in Butler's, Pennsylvania. It's not right. It's about decency, America, and I think you agree with me. But I am the kind of American that believes if you lose an election, that you honor the constitutional, peaceful transfer of power. And judging by your reactions, I believe Kamala is right. We have more in common than what separates us. As I'm closing here, I just want to talk about that quote that I used to wrap up in my grandmother's car, that quote in my car, that quote that my grandmother gave me. That quote, the tapestry, beautiful pieces, but I completely ignored it. I didn't think it was worth anything because she had made it from all of these stitches and gave it to me as a gift. And I was walking past this antique store years later, and I saw it in the window, and I go, wow, it's a beautiful. It's from my grandmother. So I walked in and talked to the lady. She started explaining to me that each package of goods was worth this, that meant this because of the woman who made it. So when I think about America, I think about my grandmother's quilt. We are all shapes, sizes, and colors, but we are one. And it was so important for me to stand with a candidate who understands that we as Americans, we are equipped. And I could never stand with a candidate who wants America to be a sheep. So today, I voted for Kamala Harris. And Georgia is only about 11,400 votes and separated Trump and Biden. So every vote counts. So I stand here, full forward, with my full chest, begging you, imploring you, let's get out and make Kamala Harris the 47th president of the united States of America. Thank you, everybody. God bless you.
I took two things, dancing and golf, and I made them into a successful business. Hi, I'm Lynn. I'm the owner of Pivotal.
Look, I was a knucklehead sometimes when I was a kid, and I didn't always live up to those values, even as a young adult. But over time, I internalized those values. And as an adult, I said, this is what I need to stand on. This is my foundation. And I suspect most of you grew up the same way. One of the most disturbing things about this election, about Trump's rise in politics, is how we seem to have set the values we were taught ourselves. How we seem to disregard them. How we pretend they don't matter. When Donald Trump lies about Hurricane Ian, you got a hurricane in North Carolina. People desperate. And he and his vice president's candidate deliberately circulate rumors that that money's being given to illegal aliens, illegal immigrants, as opposed to people who are desperate. When he cheats or shows utter disregard for our Constitution, when he calls service members who died in battle losers, or fellow citizens permanent, people make excuses for it. They act like it's okay as long as their side wins. I've noticed, especially with some men who seem to think Trump's behavior is a sign of strength. That macho, I'm going to own these folks. I'm going to put them down. I am here to tell you, but it's not what real strength is. It never has been. Real strength is about working hard and taking responsibility and telling the truth, even when it's inconvenient. Real strength is about helping people who need it and standing up for those who can't always stand up for themselves. That's what we should want in our daughters and our sons. And that's what I want to see in the President of the United States of America. And the good news is, we've got a candidate to vote for in this election who demonstrates that kind of character, who knows what real strength looks like, who will set a good example and do the right thing and leave this country better than she found it. That is what this election is about. And that is why it is my honor to introduce my friend, the next President of the United States of America, Vice President Kamala Harris.
And before that, a district attorney and a courtroom prosecutor. And in those roles, I took on perpetrators of all kinds. Predators, fraudsters, and repeat offenders. I took them on and I won. Well, Georgia, in 12 days, is thou touchdown. It's his time. Just 12 days left in one of the most consequential elections of our lifetime. And I'll need to tell you, voting has already started. And everybody here knows it's going to be a tight race until the very end. So we have a lot of work ahead of us. But we like hard work. Hard work is good work. Hard work is joyful work. And make no mistake, we will win. We will win. we will win. Or as a certain former president would say, yes, we can. Yes, we will, and yes, we can. And here's why we're going to win. We are going to win because we together are fighting for the future. We are fighting for the future. We here understand we have an opportunity before us to turn the page on the fear and divisiveness that have characterized our politics for a decade because of Donald Trump. We have the opportunity to turn the page and chart a new way and a joyful way forward. A way that taps into the ambitions, the aspirations, the dreams of the American people. And I will tell you, as I travel our country, there is an overwhelming call for a fresh start, for a new generation of leadership that is optimistic and excited about what and who will fight for you. And my whole career, I have put the people before partisanship. I never once asked somebody, are you a Democrat or are you a Republican? Instead, I always ask, how can I help you? And that is a major difference between Donald Trump and me. And between the two very different, extremely different visions that he and I have for our nation. One, his focus on the past and himself. The other, ours, focused on the future and you. Together, we will build a future where we bring down the cost of living, and that will be my focus every single day as President of the United States. Because look, while inflation is down and wages are up, prices are still too high. You know it and I know it. And unlike Donald Trump, who had $400 million served to him on a silver platter and still managed to file for bankruptcy 6 times, he talks about being a good businessman. Come on. Unlike him, I grew up in a middle-class neighborhood with a working mother who kept a strict budget and did everything she could to make sure my sister and I had all that we needed. I come from the middle class, and I will never forget where I come from. I will never forget where I come from. Which is why my common sense plan will lower the prices you pay on everything from prescription drugs to groceries to housing. On the other hand, Donald Trump will raise costs on you and your families. In fact, independent economists have analyzed our plans and found that mine will cut your costs and strengthen our economy. His will increase inflation and lead to a recession by the middle of next year. These are independent economists, Nobel laureate, prize-winning economists who have reviewed our plans and are very clear. And his agenda is all laid out in Project 2025. A detailed and dangerous blueprint for what he will do if he is elected president. And look, Donald Trump intends to impose a 20% Trump national sales tax on everyday basic necessities, which will cost the average family nearly $4,000 a year. On the other hand, I will take on price gouging, corporate price gouging. I've done it before, and I will do it again. Donald Trump will give massive tax cuts to billionaires and the biggest corporations, exactly like he did the last time he was president. I will give middle-class tax cuts to 100 million Americans, including $6,000 during the first year of a child's life, that will also lift America's children out of poverty.
Come on, man. Dumbass pass, bro. Fuck.
Donald Trump will get rid of the $35 cap on insulin for seniors. He will cut Medicare and Social Security. In fact, economists have reported he will bankrupt Social Security in just 6 years. My plan is a plan to support our seniors so that they can grow older with dignity. And so their families, you are not overwhelmed by the cost of home health care. And on top of that, my plan will bring down the cost of housing, cut taxes for small businesses. Where are the small businesses in the house? You are the backbone of America's economy, all of you. And we will lower health care costs because I believe health care should be a right and not just the privilege of those who can afford it. Donald Trump, on the other hand, intends to end the Affordable Care Act, or like we like to call it, Obamacare. And he wants to take us back to when insurance companies had the power to deny people with pre-existing conditions. Well, we are not going back. We are not going back. We're not going back. We're not going back. No, we are not. Because we will move forward, and it is time to turn the page. Ours is a fight for the future, and it is a fight for freedom. For freedom, like the fundamental freedom of a woman to make decisions about her own body and not have her government tell her what to do. And we remember how we got here. Donald Trump hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe versus Wade, and they did as he intended. And now, in America, 1 in 3 women lives in a state with a Trump abortion ban. I don't need to tell the folks here, except for Virginia, in every state in the South, including Georgia, there is a Trump abortion ban. Many with no exceptions, even for rape and incest. And let me tell you, the idea that someone who survives a crime of a violation to their body would be told they don't have the authority to make a decision about what happens to their body. Next, that is immoral. It is immoral. It is immoral. And everybody here knows one does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree the government should not be telling her what to do. Not the government. If she chooses, she will talk with her pastor, her priest, her rabbi, her imam, but not the government, not some folks up in a state capitol. telling her what to do with her own body. And notice Donald Trump still refuses to even acknowledge the pain and the suffering he has caused. He insists that, quote, everybody wanted for Roe versus Wade to be overturned, which is just a further example of how out of touch the man is. Everybody wanted this. Women are being denied care during miscarriage. Some only being treated once they develop sepsis. They didn't want this. Couples just trying to grow their family have been cut off in the middle of IVF treatments. They didn't want this. Women have died because of these things, including a young mother of a 6-year-old son right here in Georgia. Her family is here with us tonight, and we speak her name, Amber Nicole Thurman. And you all have heard me say, look, I do believe Donald Trump to be an unserious man. And the consequences of him ever being president again are brutally serious. These are just some of the consequences of the Trump abortion ban and what he does and what he's likely to do. And I pledge to you, when Congress passes a bill to restore reproductive freedom nationwide, as President of the United States, I will proudly sign it into law. Proudly. And across our nation, we are witnessing a full-on assault on other hard-fought, hard-won freedoms and rights, fundamental freedoms and rights, like George knows, attacks on the freedom to vote, attacks on the freedom to be safe from gun violence, the freedom to breathe clean air and drink clean water, the freedom to love who you love openly and with pride. And as Atlanta knows well, generations of Americans before us led the fight for freedom. And now, the baton is in our hands. It is in our hands. And so I'd like to speak in particular to all the young leaders that I see here this evening. I see you. I see you. I see you. And to you I say, you all have grabbed the baton. I've seen what you do, and I see how you are doing it, because you are rightly impatient for change. You, who have only known the climate crisis, are leading the charge to protect our planet and our future. You, young leaders who grew up with active shooter drills, are fighting to keep our schools safe. You, who now, your rights and your mothers and grandmothers are standing up for reproductive freedom. And I know it is because for you, I say to our young leaders, this is not theoretical. This is not political. This is your lived experience. And what I love about you is you are not waiting for other people to figure this out. So I see you and I see your power, and I know so many of you are voting for the first time and know that your future is so good with you all at the helm. And I'm so proud of you. Can we hear it from you leaving the first time? So listen, so much is on the line in this election. And this is not 2016 or 2020. The stakes are even higher because over the last years, and particularly the last 8 years, Donald Trump has become more confused, more unstable, and more angry. You see it every day. He has become increasingly unhinged. But last time, at least there were people around him who could control him. But you know in this election, they're not with him this time. In fact, just this week, America heard from John Kelly, a retired four-star Marine general who was Trump's White House chief of staff, who said that as President Trump praised Hitler. Take a moment to think about what that means. That Trump said, quote, Hitler did some good things. And that Trump wished he had generals like Hitler's who would be loyal to Trump and not to America's Constitution. This is not 2016 and it is not 2020. Including because just a few months ago, the United States Supreme Court told the former
especially
president
since you'll
that
snag
he's
one of the longest
effectively
names in NBA
immune
history for
no matter
completing
what
that
he does
series,
in the White House.
KCP.
Now
Kentucky's
just
Caldwell Pope
imagine
will absolutely.
Donald Trump with no guardrails. He who will claim unchecked and extreme power if he is reelected. Who has vowed that he will be a dictator on day one. Who calls Americans who disagree with him, I'm going to quote, the enemy from within. Do you know what that harkens back to? He's calling Americans the enemy within, who says that he would use the military to go after them. And he who has called for the quote,
would you be interested in collecting 5-figure paychecks for a few hours a work, helping you with spare time?
quote, termination of the Constitution of the United States. Let us be very clear. Someone who suggests we should terminate the Constitution of the United States of America should never again stand behind the seal of the President of the United States of America. Never again. Never again. So, America, there is a huge contrast in this election. Just imagine the Oval Office in 3 months. Picture it in your mind. It is either. So, but there's a choice that everybody had. So let's imagine it for a moment. It's either Donald Trump in there stewing over his enemies list, or me looking for you, checking off my to-do list. You have the power to make that decision. It is your power. It is your power. So, 12 days. All right. So, okay, we got work to do. Okay, so Georgia, listen, it all comes down to this. We are here together because we know what is at stake. We are here together because we love our country. We love our country. And I do believe it is one of the highest forms of patriotism to fight then for the ideals of our country and to fight to realize the promise of America. That's why we are here. And as the great Congressman Don Lewis reminded us, democracy is not a state. It is an act. So Georgia, now is our time to act And together we will win. We will win. We will win. So, election day. So, election day is in 12 days, okay? 12 days. And early voting has already started. So, Georgia, we need you to vote early. Please vote early. Go to ivovote.com to get all the information you might need. Because, folks, the election is here. It is here. It is upon us. And the choice is truly in your hands. Your vote is your voice. And your voice is your power. So, Georgia, I ask you, are you ready to make your voices heard? Do we believe in freedom? Do we believe in opportunity? Do we believe in the promise of America? And are we ready to fight for it?
Now, baby, he's Springsteen. You got Tyler Perry. You got a couple of guys from those Capital One commercials. If that doesn't get you fired up to vote, I don't know what I'm with. Now, you've heard this already. I am going to repeat it. We are going to keep repeating it. Here in Georgia, early voting has already started. So if you have not already, go vote. Return your absentee ballot. If you're going to vote, remember to bring your photo ID. If you need to figure out where to go to iwillvote.com/GA. And then you get your friends and you get your family to make a plan to vote. Because together we have a chance to choose a new generation.
Hey, man, this Sunny Hill's behind me.
And start building a better and stronger and fairer and more hopeful America. Now, I love you too. Now we know this election is going to be tough. Because a lot of Americans are still struggling. As a country, we've been through a lot. As a country, we've been through a lot over the last few years. We had a historic pandemic that wreaked havoc on communities and businesses. And then disruptions from the pandemic caused price hikes that put a strain on family budgets. And people feel like no matter how hard they work, sometimes it feels like they're just treading water. So I get why people are looking to shake things up. What I cannot understand is why anybody would think that Donald Trump will shake things up in a way that is good for you. Because there is absolutely no evidence that this man thinks about anybody but himself. I said it before. Donald Trump is a 78-year-old billionaire who has not stopped whining about his problems since he rode down that golden escalator 9 years ago. And when he's not complaining, when he's not sending out crazy tweets, he's trying to sell you stuff. He's
I can't vote.
He can sell you a $100,000 watch. Trying to sell you a Trump Bible. Wants to sell you the Word of God, Donald Trump edition. Got his name right there next to Matthew and Luke. Now, you cannot make this stuff up. If this was on a Saturday Night Live skit, you'd say, well, no, that's crazy. But he's doing it. Because all he cares about is his ego, his money, his status. That's his mindset. Those are his intentions. And then there's the question of his confidence. I mean, have you seen Donald Trump lately? He out there giving 2 hours speaking, just word salad. Said the other day, January 6th was a day of love, he said that. Like it was Woodstock or Coachella. If your grandpa was acting like this, you call up your brother, call up your cousin, you say, hey, have you noticed grandpa? He acting kind of funny right now. But here's the interesting thing. Is he acts so crazy, and it's become so common that people no longer take it seriously. I'm here to explain to you, just because he acts goofy does not mean his presidency wouldn't be dangerous. And you do not have to take my word for it. Lately, some of the people who know Donald Trump best have been saying in no uncertain terms that he should not be president again. The other day, General John Kelly, Donald Trump's former chief of staff, said that Trump told him he wanted his generals to be like Hitler's generals. Now, go boom. Right? Now, I want to explain that in politics, a good rule of thumb is don't say you want to do anything like it. Well, that's just good political advice. But it is useful because it gives us a window into how Donald Trump thinks. And John Kelly isn't the only one saying this. 2 of his defense secretaries, people who work for him, said the same thing. His chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, that is the top of the top brass in our military, said he is dangerous. Now, I happen to know John Kelly and Mark Miller. They served under me when I was Commander-in-Chief. These are serious people. These are this a decorated soldier and Marine who served in battle. They are not, quote-unquote, liberals. They are people who have never, in the past